So the breast is made up of three types of the tissues: the skin, the parenchyma and the stroma. Stroma is again having two parts, the fatty stroma and the fibrous stroma. The parenchyma, the glandular tissue of the breast is known as the parenchyma. As I have told already, the parenchyma or the glandular tissue is the modified sweat gland, the mainly apocrine type of gland, and the breast is having 15 to 20 lobes. These lobes are made up of the secretory modified sweat gland. So, what is a lobe? Radiating arrangement of 15 to 20 lobes. There are 15 to 20 lobes which are arranged in radiating manner and having their own separate openings known as lactiferous ducts on the nipple. So, there are 15 to 20 . So, this is a single lobe, and this single lobe is having multiple lobules. What is a lobule? This part which is having a terminal duct and its alveoli. So, this is the terminal duct. And these are the alveoli of the terminal duct. These ducts are known as segmental ducts. The segmental ducts are further dividing in the terminal ducts. So, terminal duct lobule is the functional unit of the breast. This is known as terminal duct lobule unit. Terminal duct lobule unit. There are 15 to 20 lobes. Each lobe is having multiple segmental ducts. Segmental ducts are further dividing to form the terminal ducts, and the terminal part of the terminal duct is dilated to form the alveoli of the mammary gland. So this is the terminal duct and these are the alveoli, which are the secretory units of the breast and having the epithelium outside this epithelium. There are myoepithelial cells. There are myoepithelial cells and outside myoepithelial cells there is basement membrane. So this is the basement membrane. These are the myoepithelial cells. The contraction of these myoepithelial cells will lead to secretion of these alveolar epithelial cells, and finally the secretion of these cells will accumulate in the alveoli or lumen of the alveoli. From here it will move to the segmental and finally the main lactiferous duct. But before secretion, the milk is stored in this lactiferous sinus. So before opening on the nipple, there is dilatation. This dilated part is known as the lactiferous sinus. And this part is the lactiferous duct, which is lined by stratified squamous keratinized epithelium. Stratified squamous keratinized epithelium, and then it will open in the nipple. The pattern of the tubular system and the alveolar system change with the age, with the status of the pregnancy and the lactation. So there are three factors which are playing role during. There are three factors which determine the structure of the glandular tissue of the breast: the age, the status of the pregnancy and the lactation. In the very initial phase, before the age of puberty, there is only the glandular tissue which is having a few ducts. But under influence of estrogen hormone after the menarche or the puberty, there is the formation of the new ducts and proliferation of the terminal part of the duct to form the spherical or the alveolar tissue. So initially there is formation of the solid alveoli. There is no lumen, there is no epithelium. But when there is the early phase of pregnancy, the lumen will appear in the spherical solid alveolar structure, and the epithelium will proliferate to form the cuboidal epithelium, which will develop further and will form the columnar epithelium. So, in the initial phase there is only a single layer of the cuboidal cells. These will develop under influence of the progesterone hormone. Remember always, the tubular structure or the tubular system of the glandular tissue will develop under influence of the estrogen, but alveolar system is under control of the progesterone. During pregnancy, under influence of the estrogen and progesterone, there is final development and proliferation of the glandular tissue. So, estrogen and progesterone both are playing key role during pregnancy, which are secreted by the placenta. The tubular system, the tubes are having small tubes, the terminal and segmental are having single layer of the columnar epithelium, but the large tubes are having two layers of the columnar epithelium. So, these tubes are having single layer, but large tubes are having two layers of the columnar epithelium. These are single layered, these are single layered, and this is bilayered, having two layers of the columnar epithelial tissue. The fibroadenoma of the breast takes origin from these small tubes, but the carcinoma of the breast develops from the epithelium of the large tubes or larger ducts. These are called as ducts. So, small ducts are the origin place for the fibroadenoma, but large tube is the origin place for the carcinoma of the breast. The epithelium of these alveoli are having the cells. Initially these are cuboidal cells, but under influence of the progesterone, these cells will form the milk. There are the myoepithelial cells, and this is the basement membrane. The cells are basophilic, having basophilic cytoplasm. And having the mitochondria. The nucleus, the mitochondria, the Golgi apparatus, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, the free ribosomes, and it is also, these cells are also having secretory vacuoles. The secretory vacuoles. There are two types of secretory vacuoles. One is the protein and other is the lipid. So, the protein, and it is secreting the casein. Casein is a milk protein, and lactalbumin. So, the protein secretory granule, which are the merocrine type of secretion. The protein is merocrine, where the only casein and lactalbumin are secreted. This is merocrine. But the lipid vacuoles are apocrine in nature. The lipid vacuoles are apocrine in nature. So, milk is secreted under influence of the hormones, which are secreted by the pituitary. And these alveoli are surrounded by breast specific hormone responsive fatty stroma. The stroma which is surrounding these alveoli is breast specific hormone responsive. So, it is surrounded by the stroma, which is having nerves and vessels, and it is having the hormone responsive hormone responsive breast specific hormone responsive stroma. So, the secretion of milk is under control of prolactin hormone. And the secretion of the milk after or under influence of suckling is regulated by the oxytocin. So, under influence of the suckling reflex, when the newborn sucks the nipple, the nerve endings of the areola and the nipple are stimulated, and after this stimulation there is secretion of the oxytocin, which regulates the secretion of the milk after sucking of the newborn. So, remember always, after sucking, the secretion of the milk is under control of the oxytocin, otherwise it is controlled by the prolactin hormone. So, the determination of the structure of the glandular tissue is under control of the age, the status of the pregnancy and the lactation. After 6 to 7 months of the birth of the newborn, the alveoli will start degenerating and they will start to return in its initial phase, that is the spherical and lumenless. The columnar epithelium will be again regained in its initial position, the cuboidal epithelium. So, this was all about the parenchyma of the breast, and after a short break I will talk about the stroma, which is the fibrous and the fatty stroma.